today's class, we will first check how we can call a OmniScript inside a OmniScript, and then we will check what are the done actions, right? So those things today we will focus. So, but before we go, let me first show you M1 Telecom page. Okay, so see, observe this. This is one of our OmniScript, right? This one which you are seeing here. When I do the next, it is opening the another OmniScript or another step inside the OmniScript, right? But you can observe some of the information, which is the background, which is the footer, which is the header, will remain same here, right? Even if I select something and again do the continue, you will say it is nothing but adding those previous steps, but the previous information, the background and everything will remain same. Okay, so let's check how we can do that when we want to display something which is already there in the page. Okay, but yeah, it is already there in the page, but we want to display that into the UI. Mean that I want to say is, let's say this is one page, okay, where there is a header information. There are some steps where user actually do the work, and there is a footer information. Okay, this is our main page that this is the UI that users are basically seeing. In that case, if we need to let's say we want to create that, so how we can wisely create is we can do this. We can create one component, one OS for this, one OS for this, and one OS here, and all those OS we can combine and display it into one OS. Okay, so this one OS, which is our main one, is called master OS. Okay, this we call master OS, and all the sub elements which we are dragging inside this master OS all called child OS. Okay, your yeah, so this is clear, right? Now let me tell you this. Your master OS cannot be child OS of any element. That means, let's say this is our master. Inside that we have used OS1, OS2, OS3. Okay, these are child, right? All those child OS cannot be anyone's master. That means we cannot do this. We cannot do this structure. This is master, and inside that we have, let's say, 3, OS1, OS2, OS3. We cannot do this. We cannot make OS1A, OS1B. This structure we cannot do. The nesting we cannot perform here, but we can do this. We can make one OS as a master, and we can create all the sub elements as its child. Okay, so this is about the basic concept. Now let's check from where we can do that. We will again visit this page when we discuss about the JSON and how the information get exchanged between all those places, right? This we will check. Just a second. Yeah. Now let me do one thing. Let me open one. Let me open one OmniScript. And inside that OmniScript, we will drag another script and we'll check how we can call the different OmniScript inside it. Okay. This is our OmniScript. This is one component where we are displaying the account detail information. Okay, this is the basic component where we are displaying the information. Before that, let's take a preview and check how it is looking. Yeah, this is something where account name and ID we need to pass out something. Let me check if the script that we initially created is there in the system or not. Yeah, this one is, I think, better. Yeah, this one is better. Here we are calling account ID, and I think in this step, if I drag a text, or let's do this one. Okay, so that's our main script, let's say, and it is displaying the basic account information. This is, let's say, account form. And now what we will do, we will drag another step after this stage. After account one, we will drag another step, and there we will call our child steps, child omni scripts. So first, let's create a child omni script. Okay, the process of creating child omni script is very similar. Let's do that. We need to click on new. Okay, you can name it OS child. So maybe child. We will enable LWC, but as of now, I'm not enabling that. Okay, so it got created. Now what the next thing we will do, we will simply go and drag a text element inside it. Okay, and we don't make any changes. But how we will make sure that this script is now a child script? We need to go to the configuration, and here you need to use the reusable checkbox. Okay, just use this reusable checkbox. That means now it will be uses as a child script. Even you can also use it individually as an individual element. It will not break anything, but yeah, maybe the initial flow from this script doesn't start with any data wrapper or anything. Maybe we are feeding the data of this script from somewhere else. So if it is reusable, you don't need to, call any data raptor. You can do the data raptor here also, but sometimes it doesn't make sense because we are using reusable. That means we are calling it somewhere else, right? And if since we are calling it somewhere, we can directly pass data from that script to this script. The other thing that you will see, since we made this as a reusable, if I try to drag anything here, it will show a red error, this error. Okay, even if I drag any of the elements, it will not work. Why? Because like I was saying here, your child OS cannot be treated as a master OS, right? We are following this structure where there is a master, and inside that there are child scripts, reusable scripts. Okay, your if you have declared one script as a reusable, you cannot drag any other child script inside it. Okay, so that means we can follow this structure only. Same I was showing here also, right? We have dragged different sections, different steps, different OS inside this page. But the main script, which is dealing with the header information, the background, the footer, this remains the same. Okay, now let's go back and delete those elements. Yeah, so one more thing. Before you actually use this script, use this child OS, you need to make sure you activate. If you're not activating, it will not work, but it will also not throw any error. Let me show that case first, and then we will then we will activate it. So here, this is our master script. Okay, now I'm going to the groups, dragging a step inside a step. Let me actually deactivate that. It is unnecessary. So I have dragged one step. Inside that, I'm going to the OS. Now it's called child OS child. I think we need to refresh it. Okay, so yeah, here you will see our OS child is there. So okay, we can't actually add it inside because it has its own tree, right? So we cannot display or add it inside any UI element. It will be individual. One more thing, all the steps that you're seeing here, all the OS you are seeing here, they all are child OS. Okay, in all of them we have checked the reusable checkbox. Then only they are showing. Then only they are showing here. Okay. You will also see the name of OS child is changed to child1. That means we can drag multiple same scripts into the flow. Since since in the back end it will contain a unique ID, unique. Otherwise, we can't drag two elements with the same name. That's why they appended one. Okay. Now let's do one thing. Let me first show you the JSON. Let's go clear the data. Okay. You will see there is nothing, no node created for OS child. No node is there. Okay. Why this is so? Because our OmniScript is not activated. Okay. Let me copy this. Let's paste that into JSON viewer. There's no script. There's no node for our child script. So let's do one thing. Now let's go and activate it. So that's a good part actually. Even if you use any child scripts and it is not activated, the flow will not show you any error, but it will not even recognize that script. It will not maintain any JSON for it. And one more thing, for us, we have what we do as a velocity developer, we simply drag a OmniScript here. Okay. But as a backend, how this VF page basically treating it, it is treating it as a JSON only. So in the backend, what it will do, let me first tell you. Let's say this is the JSON of parent. Okay. Master. Okay. There is a node called step one. Okay. And inside your child, there is also a node called step one. So what the VF page and the logic will do, it will combine, let's say this is here, it is mentioned account ID. Okay. This is something which is mentioned in step one master level, and step one child level, it is saying account name. So in the final, when we actually merge them together, then how it will basically maintain is it will create this step one. Inside that you will see one node for account ID and one node for account name. Okay. There will be no while seeing the JSON tree, you will not recognize which one is for child OS and which one is for master OS. Getting it? So that means the VF page and the Apex class written behind it, they will doing simply merging of the JSON. Whatever JSON returned from your child OS, it will simply get merged to the parent level. And vice versa also. If you want to access any information from child, you will also do the same thing. In from child also, you will access the entire tree of your parent, and you can directly use the definition like how normally we will check this. But yeah, as of now, just consider this. For us, it is a different OS, but as a VF page, as a Apex class, they are simply merging whatever written from your child OS to the actual tree of your parent. If you maintain the same tree, they will simply merge them in a one node. If you are returning, let's say there is a step two and there is no step two, then they will simply create a step two as a parent node. Okay, so let's check that out. So this is very simple, and they use the same tactics to exchange the information. There is nothing complex that they have written. That's a good part, right? But yeah, you need to make sure that your child script is basically activated. Now let me clear the data. Okay, you will see step one is created here, right? And then they have added this thing. There's nothing called child or a reusable thing is implied. And now let me do one thing. Let me maintain the same flow, which is account and detail there also, right, in the child. So let's first deactivate. Here it is account, right? Here it is account, and we have added a block. So let's use the same thing here also. Let's call it, let it save actually. So this is account. Now let me go to the group, drag a block. The name of the block is detail. Use the same name. And inside it, I will drag text one. And now I'm activating that. If you don't activate, you will not see any tree, but the script will not stop, or it will not throw any error. Okay. Now let's go and take up, clear the data. Now you will see there is no node created individually for it. We have used text one, right? So if you go to the tree, account detail and text one. Okay, let's okay, we can rename it, but yeah, you will clearly see there is nothing called text one here, right? So it will append the information here also. So that's a default behavior, and it is also a good thing. So let me actually explain you from where you need to you need to go for these. You need to go for the same tree, and from where you actually need to define a different tree. So see, if you are maintaining one field which you don't want to display into the UI, okay, because since this text one is a part of a Omni script, that means it is outside this step one, right? So when you do the actual next, you will then see this particular field. Okay, so there are two couple of things. Let me first tell you what is the use of this behavior. If you want to, due to any reason, let's say your first script is very complex. Okay, this script, your master script is very complex, and it is you used for as a initial purpose, which means you have created a logic, and that logic is only routing to do some computations behind the scene. There's nothing UI get involved into it, but you have added a one UI element also. But after once you, and you also want to display some information based on the computation, and that information you don't want to enter it into that script because the scope of the script is getting huge, and there is a risk that maybe something went wrong in the computation, and it will be, as a developer, it will be difficult for you to debug because the script length is very high. In that case, you will create a child only script and pass the information like that only, because your intention is just to display the information. Your intention is not to make a complex JSON. Even you can do that also. Okay, so you will simply create the child OS. You will create all the mimic elements like you have here, like how we have here account and detail. Under that we have fields. Here we can also do account detail. Under we have fields, but there is a but also. If we have used OmniScript, but this information that is written by your child script will always show in a different step. That means your user need to click on next button to view those informations. Okay, so it's a trade-off. If you want to optimize your script so that it will load fast, you can use one script, and once user click on next, you can refer to them to the different scripts. Okay, so that's the first thing where you need to optimize your performance of your own script, because your current master script is very huge. It is doing some computation. It is showing a lag if you add more information. Also, the JSON will become complex if you drag everything in one script. If anything mismatch happened, your entire flow will stop working. That's the first thing. Second thing is that in most of the time when we get the requirement and we want to arrange this requirement and divide this requirement to the developers so that we can develop the entire functionality faster, right? In that case also you can create small sections for one person, and small section for other person, so that individual can work on their own Omni scripts. And at the end of the development, you can merge all those scripts into one and check how it is showing. Okay, so there are two things I tell. One is for optimizing the performance. Second is to reuse basically dedicate the work wise. So this is also important for some of the times. But the only problem here is if you use the other OmniScript, your user need to click on next button. Let's say there's some field on the same tree we want to display into the same block. If you use child script, that is not possible. Okay, so same thing they did actually. They have created one master script which deals with the validations and all, right? It deals with the backend color, the header color, the footer color, all those things they have created. They have also created a login button. So most of the things that you will see are static. They are not going to change. So if this is the structure, then you should go for the tree element. Now let's do one thing. Let's exchange the information. Okay. So let's say this is the text one. We want to display this name information, whatever in the account name. Okay, this information we want to transfer here. So let's check how we can do that. So like I was saying, your one more thing actually I want to display. Before we do that, I want to clear this point also, because this is also confusing. Let's say this is our master script. Master, there is a step one. Actually, pardon my writing, it is very good, but in this touchpad, it is showing like that. So this is step one. There are name. Okay, there, let's say ID, details. Okay, and after this step, we have called our child script one, OS1. Okay, and OS1 is again tagging some step two, and then OS2, which is these OS are child OS, right? Step 3. So when, and this is yeah, this is that only. I mean, if I drag the viewer, then first thing, this is, let's say, your master OS. In master OS, this is the step one, and then your OS1, and then OS2. Okay, so I was saying your child OS can access the entire tree. That's true, but whatever gonna return via OS2 cannot be accessed in OS1. Can you tell me why? Because of order of execution. We can access every information that is written by step one in OS1, but we cannot access any information that is written by OS2 in OS1 because it is not yet executed. It will only execute when OS1 execution will finish. Okay, so this tree, this will, you also need to take care which OS you're dragging at which place. So that basic principle will also apply here. But yes, at this level, you can access this tree also. But at that time, when you try to access, the information will be null, because you will see a blank JSON, right? But that JSON doesn't have anything. So we will not find any information at this level. So this is, make sure you take care about this. Okay. But yes, in this OS2, you will access step one and OS1 data also. Now let's come back here. The requirement is, let's say we want to get the name from our parent script and we want to display the same name. We want to do some computation on our child script. So let's see how we can do that. Yeah, one more thing. Yeah, if you want to access some information on OS1, okay, then that means you need to do the change on OS1. If you want to if you want to get information of OS1 in OS2, you need to do changes on OS2. That's a rule of thumb. Okay, if you're making a structure on OS2 which is not compatible with OS1, then rule says you should not change OS1. You should change OS2 according to OS1, because whatever output that your OS2 will do will be fed to further steps, further OS. If you change OS1 according to OS2, maybe whatever you have used in step 1 will get compromised. Okay, so that thing I want to display. Now let's do that. Let's access this detail name information here. So let's say how we can do that. For that, first deactivate that. I think that part we have already discussed. We need to use set values here to read the tree. Can go to the functions. Actions actually set. Okay, you can drag set value at this level. Here you can write text one, and here you can create a formula which says percentage. Inside that, you don't need to do anything. It is very simple. You just need to read the entire tree. That is it. Count, and then semicolon, detail, semicolon, and name. Okay, that is it. Okay, and yeah, uh, I think we already discussed about set values, right? So we can do the same here also. We can just simply create a formula. We can use formula to display the entire tree. Since we are trying to access this information, so we have used percentage in both of the places. And now if you do the preview, you will not see anything yet. Why? Because this information is not can be tested in the preview mode, but you can test one thing. Let it display something, then I will tell you. Maybe clear the data. Yeah. So you will see nothing is displaying here. Why? Why nothing is displaying? Because this information is not there, right? Also, let me drag it outside. Okay, nothing will display because we have controlled this thing from the master OS. But if you made any mistake in your formula, let's say I have removed this percentage mark, and if I do the preview, percentage, let's say I have used the entire tree and directly write this thing, then I can clear the data. Then you will see whatever we have used in step 2 will be get directly assigned like this only, right? So this way we will check the bindings whether we have controlled it correctly or not. Okay, now after the save you need to activate that script. You go clear the data, and this time we will add a name in this, right? Let's use this we have given here. Now at the time text one is blank, right? But when we do the next, you will see master account name will get assigned here. Okay, so this way we will access the information from parent to child, and yeah, parent to child, and whatever your child will return again we can use to the further steps. But we need to do the next to fulfill this information. Let's say after this we have another step, right? Let's quickly drag it also. Display heading, let's say. Okay, need to drag a step, I think. You're getting it, right? What I'm trying to say. Let's say if I want to access this information, text one, I just need to simply refer this text to whatever place we want to use. Then this information will be accessible there also. Okay. So this thing is very simple. How we basically do in normal when we actually need to drag, when we need to display something from our normal tree. Okay. So that thing is common. Any questions on it? Okay, so that is the basic use of your dragging of your child scripts. You can also make a conditional condition here, right? When you need to run this OS, all those conditions you can write hide and hide type conditions. The best practice, according to best practice, again, the same thing how we actually do in Apex classes. If one information is present into one script, we should not do the same computation in childs also. Okay, other best practice is if let's say if the above we want to get information from account display and name, right? And we are in account in child one, then we will not go and in child one we have used accounts details and then name. Okay, in that case I need to update on child one. I should not update and I should not go back and update here. Why? If I do the update, maybe it will work at this level, but before the elements that are actually dependents on them, they will start failing. Same goes here. If I add os2 child os2 and in child os2 whatever written from child os1, we need to make sure this structure will be done according to that only. Okay, no backward direction change will not be acceptable. This direction change will be acceptable. Okay, now this is about the child OS and inheritance of the multiple scripts. Now let's discuss the different topic, which is done and navigation actions. Okay, so see, if you are in a classic window, this is a classic. This is not LWC enabled OS. In that case, if you want to redirect your user to somewhere else, let's talk about this. You have purchased all their plans, like you click on next, and then after the end of the flow, you have to redirect users somewhere, right? You can show them a success message like we have submitted your request, we are working on something like that. Or if you're making a DML operation, let's say you are updating or creating a record or any account or contact, whatever you're dealing with, once user finish the flow, you should redirect your user to that particular account which got created or any updation happened, right? If this is the requirement where you need to display some, you need to basically terminate the execution of your velocity page and you need to send back to another URL. Okay, in that case we will use done action. Let's check that. Let me do it in this script. Okay, yeah, let's search about done action. This done action, which is inside the actions, this is not in LWC enabled components. You cannot use LWC enabled component done action. For there, we will use this navigation actions, and navigation action is very optimized. I mean, in done action, we can only do three things, but in navigation actions, since it is LWC enabled, so all the new framework capabilities that Salesforce supports, we can do everything inside it. We'll check this also, but let's first talk about done actions. My recommendation is if you're if let's first let me drag the done action here. Your done action and your both this navigation action and done action, they both are the terminators. Okay, that means after once the code will reach to step 4, your execution will instantly get stopped and your script will be ended. You can consider this as your break statements or your return statements. After that step, your velocity component will be stopped and you will whatever you have configured, it will be redirect to user, it will redirect user to that screen. And since you should also let me do that also. In the preview, you will see the URL is always constants. Let's say we have configured 10 steps. In all those 10 steps, URL will be constants. That means once you redirect user to that particular link, and when they click back, use the browser's back button, they will not see the latest script. They will always see the first script. We will also talk about it, how we can stop user to coming back to that script so that they will not again follow the um, same process. Okay, let's also, we will also check that option, but yeah, let's first discuss the elements of done action. This is same, right? This is a name and this is something. Next is some this validation means you know it, right? When you use done actions or any backend element, just a second, let me grab some water. Yeah, sorry. So whenever we deal with the VFP, whenever we deal with the buttons, which actually is the final button in our form, we provide some validations, right? Let's say, let me also give you a scenario which will be the entry point of a different concept. Let's say this that we have dealing with a form, okay? Or let's forward form. Let's talk about Amazon only. Say we have selected user selected this product, okay, and they have let's say they selected this product and they buy this product, and when they reach to that card, they also before they do the payment, they need to select a address where they want the delivery of this product. They selected the one address, and when they go to the next button, instantly the backend logic of Amazon will consider, is there any phone number tagged to that particular address or not. If there is no phone number tagged to that address, this script will automatically land them to that particular Omniscript where we you ask user to put the particular phone number. And let's say the phone number comes under fourth step. Okay, fourth step here the phone number information comes. But since we are not dealing with the browser URL, then how you will redirect user to that particular step? That's a question, right? In that case, for that cases, we have to use the one concept which we will talk about tomorrow. Okay, so those things I want to discuss. So those, if you want to fire that level of validation where you will verify all the previous information, previous required field that you have configured in your Omniscript, even for your child Omniscript also, then you will set as a submit here, validation required submit. If you don't want that, then you can simply use none. Okay, next thing is that one, let's talk about this S object. S object means it's require the ID. If you have 15 or 18 digit ID stored somewhere and you directly put it here, then after this done action, user will be directly thrown to that particular ID. Okay. If it is a lightning page, then they will simply append .com and then ID. And if it is a normal classic version, then also they will use the same. But yeah, this parameter expect a ID here. Okay. Next is the URL. If if you want to send them to a specific URL, here you can use the same URL. Okay, maybe google.com or anything outside Salesforce, they will be redirect to that. Okay, console tab label, this will be the name if you use it here, right? What is the name of the button that you want to display? It will be used here. So all those fields are basically meant for that purpose only. You can also read what is this, even I'm not sure. Escape navigation to this page, mobile done. Yeah, this is I think for mobile something, and this is the template that you can also create for redirection purpose. But yeah, in most of the cases, if you use URL, you can directly put the name of the URL here and users will be redirect to that particular URL. This redirect is also the same thing. If it will redirect whatever URL you will provide, and as object will expect a 18 digit ID here. The URL will expect a valid URL where users can be send to. One more thing, when you actually configure anything here and you work on a preview, it will not work. You need to activate that script and you need to go back to the script configuration. Okay, and activate it first, and then you need to actually get the main URL of this structure, right? And then only it will work. Let me show you. Let's do one thing. Let me check if there is any ID in the JSON. There is no ID, but yeah, maybe if there is any ID, we can directly use that ID and we can provide the name of that particular variable that is holding that ID. Okay, in that case, the particular S object will be redirect to that page. Okay, and you will not see if you use the preview section here. You need to, like I was saying, you need to use outside URL for that purpose. Okay. And you also need to activate it, then only it will work. Let's check that. Need to click on not here, how to launch, copy this URL, and then it will work. I do the next. There's a data, right? We will do, then it will get redirected to that particular page. If nothing is given, it will simply redirect you to the Salesforce web page. I mean, Salesforce default landing page of your users. Okay, which is the home page. Any questions on it? Now let me do one thing. Let me activate the LWC on the same script, and then we will explore the other option. Okay. In most of the time, you will not use this done action because it is very limited. Let me tell you how it is limited. Let's say we don't want to redirect user to any URL, or we don't have even any URL also. Let's say there is a community going, okay, and we want to redirect user. Let's say we have configured this script to a community, okay, for external communities, and we want to user to get redirect to one of the LWC page which we have created, LWC component that we have created, then it is not possible because there is no such option. The other thing is, if we want to redirect user to any application homepage, that is also not possible because we can only redirect them to the default landing page of their default landing page from where they have login and see the first page. There we can redirect them. There's so many things, there's so many drawbacks also. You have created your own flex pages, you have created your own console pages. There's no such option where we can land them to that option. Even if you use this URL, uh, even if you use this URL, you have to hard code some URL here. Even you use the template also, you have to hard code the URL. And when this code move to different orgs, you have to keep in mind, you have to maintain the post deployments steps, and then someone need to go to that script and manually change these URLs. So that's a pain for if someone forgot, then probably user will redirect to a different org. So that's a problem. So the same thing get resolved in the LWC view. So let's do one thing. Let me first enable the LWC. Okay, now we will see the icons here. So all those icons which is having this lightning icon, that means all those components are available in LWC mode. But this, you can see done action is not available, so we cannot use it. So we need to delete it. If our users are using the LWC view, they will not access this done action because it doesn't have support. Okay, for that we need to use this navigation action. Okay, you will see navigation action here, which is lightning enabled. Let's export this navigation action, and this is very powerful. Okay, why? Because all the new enhancement that ECMAScript 7 platform support, it is there. Because see, in previously there is very restriction in terms of redirection. Okay, because most of the hacks will happen only for redirections, opening something in the pop-up, right? All those things. So team of developers get work together, and they used the concepts of the redirection without making any changes in the URL. That means they didn't in the backend, whatever we do, whenever we click something, REST call will happen into the systems, right? But they have used the SOAP APIs to do those things. So you will see there is hardly place where they will ask us to put any URL. Okay, so that's a good part here. But yeah, we will discuss about that. But before we go at this point, let's discuss about the basic from first line to second line, last line. Element name you will give, right? This is treated as an API. This is something which controls the width. This is something which you show to the users. And what is this? Button variant. This is something new that you probably see if you not work on LWC environment. Let me actually show you this. Lightning Design Systems. The Lightning Design System, this is a Salesforce platform. Okay, you need to go to the buttons. There's a default nature of button, like whether this button is a normal alert button or it is something which is used as a red color, which is considered as a warning button, or it's a green, which is something which tells us a success button, right? So whatever, yeah, see, this is neutral, brand, or anything, right? So all the nature that you're seeing here, there is something controlled via classes, right? All those things you can control with the help of this drop down. Okay, success. If you select this or you select this, based on whatever you are selecting, the nature of button will be decided. You want to display like this, or whatever the options you can see here. This is the same option you can control with the help of this drop down. Okay, but it will only work when you add the navigation action inside any step. If you drag it outside, that means now whatever you have configured will be bypassed, and after this OmniScript 1, user will automatically get redirected. Okay, so make sure you want user to click on a button and then get redirect, or you want system to automatically redirect them once they have done their flow. Okay, so this is about it. Next is the icon, which is nothing but your button icons. uh, if I can show you, I mean, here you can also add some icons here. Let me actually open this in light LWC here, lighting component. Okay, so what point I want to make is you will see some buttons which is having some icons also, right? This button icon. Okay, all those things basically it does support. It support utilities, all the basic icon classes it has supports utilities, uh, uh, documents, doc, right, and all the other things it also have support. Okay, so there are two things, right? First you need to write what group you want to add, second what icon you want to add, right? So it also support all the groups, utilities, docs, and all whatever they are in LWC. You can reveal all of them here. Why? Because in the backend it is doing nothing, but it is running a LWC for us. Okay, you can read this also. Yeah, it is showing you to the icons name. Yeah, this icons, utility, doc type, standard actions, right? All those basically does have a support there also. If you want to access, you just need to first type utility and then you need to define the name here. You can directly do that. So this is about the nature of showing button and the icon that you want to show. Next, which is the actual thing here, is this list. Now, if you compare this with done action, there are only 3 actions, which is very basic, which first you will only able to redirect to S object, second is to redirect you to a URL, right? But here you will see different parts here. You can also redirect user to any application, okay, which is nothing but your application homepage. Also, there is something called replace. See, this is what I was saying. Let's say you are working on an OmniScript, okay? Your OmniScript is completed and you added this navigation action as a button or as a backend element, and you use as a true, and your user get redirected to that particular page. Then if they do the back, they will not able to do the back because system in the back end, it will not create any history for that particular redirect. Since there is no history, so even if they click on back button, nothing will happen. So this is the very uh, simple definition, you can say, simple functionality, you can say, which actually help us on adding so much complex logics. Okay, because we don't want user to again, due to any reason, if they click back, we don't want them to again initiate the flow because we already captured the information. That's why we have redirected them, right? So if they do that, back button will not work. So make sure that you will select this if required. We will also talk about this tomorrow about one flow, or today also if time permits. Next is the component. You can redirect user to any component also. Okay, whatever component you have created, you can name it and you can target those things, right? You can say knowledge current page. If you want to redirect to them, you can do those, all those things. Knowledge page, login, if you want to ask user to again log in. Name page is something which is your community page, not community, flexi pages, flex pages basically, which we actually go and this one. I think I need to switch to lightning. Remember, we created one application page, right? So this is nothing but a flex page. So if you have created your own lightning view of a particular record, or you have created this for your own customization, you can also use this thing here. Let me tell you what I mean by that. You need to go to the tab. You have created a tab. Let's say this, I think we have created, right? Yeah, this one we have created. So you can see there is a page, right? So this you can use. This is nothing. If you deploy it call it flex pages. So here they call it a name page. Okay, you can define the page name directly here. If there is any parameter which you have stored somewhere, you can directly use that parameter also, right? Same goes for community name page, which is nothing but a community pages with that. I give a exercise where you created some pages, right? So that's the same thing you can do here also. Navigation items, object, right? You can give the name, but here in object you will they will give you option whether you want to redirect to the home page, list view or new page. You can also do that. You just need to put the name of the API name, and you can, if you select list, they will ask you what is the filter. I mean, this is nothing but your list views. What list view you want to add, you need to write the name of your list view here, recent, all, or whatever, based on whatever you have configured. You need to put the API name here. If you select the list option, new, it will simply open the new click. When you click on new button, a pop-up will open, right? Same thing will open here. You just need to pass the API name of it. Second is the record. You need to pass the it is not required to always put the API name. You can simply directly give the record ID also. But if you put the API name, it will ask you which view you want to use. You want to use edit, you want to use clone, or you just want to use view. Okay. Even we are asking them to redirect to a particular URL, there also we can control. We ask them to view which UI, the clone UI, the edit UI, or the view UI, right? So all those things you can control. Record relationship, web pages for any external, and this is the very good part here where you can actually redirect user to a different OmniScript. This is something which you will use so many times. Previously it was very complex. We have to take care about post deployments because we have to again change the URLs if we want to redirect them to any OmniScript. But here it is very easy because sometimes it happens we need to commit the data, and we also need to acknowledge user that your data is done. Whatever you have done, your current flow is done. Then we will redirect him to another flow. Okay. Then it is important to use this thing. Okay. So that's why you can do that. You can also check you want to which layout you want to redirect user to. Okay. All those things you can do. Again, there's something called validation. You can also add those things. Any questions on it? Done action or navigation action? That's simple, right? You just need to take care about the those things. Those things need to be the system in the system. Let's say you have configured a name page here, and you in maybe in one of your or you have those name page, and when you deploy it to another org, but that name page is not there, then the page that will get redirected will throw the error. Okay, so make sure this is consistent. Whatever name you will give here, it needs to have the same name of that entity as well, right? Those things you need to take care. All right, any other questions? Okay, next is the selectable item. Let's do one thing. Selectable item, I will again touch base because we need to know the HTML template concept before we actually use selectable item. But let me tell you what is this. Again, let's go back to here. So see, you can see there are two values here, 5 GB, 12 GB, 13, 30 GB, and I mean all those things, right? In Salesforce, what is this? Can you tell me? This is nothing but a pick list, right? The field that or the variable or the attribute that they have created, its type is pick list. But in generally, we don't see pick list like that. We see a drop down, and then user need to click on that, and then based on that, we will show another pick list, and user need to click on that also, right? But here it is showing like that only. So if you have a requirement, even let's forget about this pick list, which is have a object binding. Let's say what if you are getting this information from third party. Okay, you just get a array, and that array is coming from a third party, and you need to cast this array like that only. I mean, you need to use some level of you need to cast whatever the output of your Apex class or a third party into UI. In that case, you will use select item. Okay, let me actually drag that element. Just go select item. I think it is in the groups. Yeah, select items. In drag and tell you what it does. Select table item, right? Yeah. Yeah. So this is the important remote properties and JSON node. Yeah. So see, first thing you need to inform the data that your selectable item is holding is in JSON format or it's in different format. Okay, so make sure if it is a JSON, which is always be JSON format, but again, they give this option because maybe your external system, because there is an option where you can call remote classes, right? Or you can also feed the external system which deals with XML. Okay, in that case you need to uncheck this checkbox, but if it is JSON you need to check this checkbox. Okay, and then you need to say whether it is a multi mode or it's single mode. That means the information that you are dealing with is having multiple records, or you can say it is repeating the JSON or it is having the same JSON. Okay, that you need to deal with. Model, this we will discuss about when we discuss about the HTML templates. This is also something which is about templates. Now this is something which is called remote properties. That means here you can define your apex classes also to store the information or cast the information. Like I was saying, the purpose of selectable item is to hold one information which is having a different type and display the information according to your needs. I was giving this example. You have this information in array, but by just seeing this, you will not sure. I mean, it will give you very good impression. This is not that traditional pick list, right? But how you will do the customization, how will you will convert something which is coming like that to this view is this. You need to use the selectable item. Okay, we will again come to selectable item when we discuss about the HTML templates, which is I think after discussion of order management. Then I will come back to this topic. Okay, so today we have discussed this. Tomorrow there's one more topic we will discuss, and then we will start with the order management, which is actually very complex, and then we will discuss about this HTML templates. Okay, any questions?
Is there
No, I
any option
paused.
to hard code some
Sorry.
value? Is there any way to hard code some value? In LWC component, we used to write select list, thereafter selected item, then option like select option, then option, then key value we will use
Yeah,
to
right,
add.
right. There is an option where you can also hard code, but in that case, you will probably not use the select item. We will also discuss about that when we actually deal with the that type of.
Okay.
Okay, but all see here, storing value or hard coding value is not complex. The complex part is to display that. Okay, so that's why I'm not discussing this topic more, because if I start, you actually need to understand how you can actually use this HTML template ID. That is the main trick here. Okay, it also needs some information about Java because it is Angular based. Even I'm not 100% use all the functionalities because I'm not a Angular person. But in my team, there's someone who is having the Angular background. They are actually pro on doing the UI, because we'll discuss about it, like how we can do the Angular and what are this where I if I need to do and how I manage it. Okay, because my all-time experience with Salesforce, and learned Java from for LWC and Lightning only. So Angular is something alien language for me. Okay. Anything else we want to discuss?
Yeah, one
Oh,
topic regarding the assignment.
mhm,
It's like last time on the assignment wise, when I tried to add the item from the array,
mhm.
so it was not giving any result for me. So I saw there is some option that something you did, something like data wrapper action, then dot. Somehow you try to drill down and get the item from array. When I try to do the same thing, I was not able to read the value. So could you please tell me like how we can read the items from the array?
In OmniScripts or in like Apex class?
No, in OmniScript itself.
Okay, so see if you yeah, I got it what you're saying. So for that actually, if first check what is the type of the return type here. If it is a array, then you need to cast it accordingly. You need to check that you need to use this block. This block is only meant to display something which is an array, and you need to check this repeat option. Okay,
Okay.
that's why we use the block here. Let's say this account information is having list, okay, and we are not using block. In that case, you will always see one entry in the name and state and all those things. But if there is any multiple informations, then you need to use this block, and you also need to make sure that you check this repeat checkbox. Then this information get repeated. Does that
Okay.
help?
I'll check something and come back tomorrow. Maybe I need to
Yeah.
check a few things and we'll ask tomorrow.
Okay. All right. Let's catch up tomorrow. Okay. Thanks. Thanks for joining.
Thank you.